Okay, friends, so we are recording now. So, welcome everybody to this workshop on SRE. We call it Site Reliability Engineering. First of all, welcome to all of you. Friends, let me introduce myself. My name is Rosen. I am with ISA from last 6 to 7 years, now 7 years, right? On my IT experience, I have 18 years experience. Uh, I have been into various fields. Been started my career as a Java developer, and then I have been into Linux admin, DBAs, performance engineering, and currently I'm working as a principal SRE with one of the reputed giants of the world. Friends, that's a background about me. We are going to have a workshop on SRE today. Okay, so I'll walk you through what it is. Right, I believe all of you have who have joined would like to know more about this SRE role, or you are already working in some SRE field and looking for more insights. Definitely, you'll have a learning session. I can assure you for that, friends. Before I get started, friends, I need more information from all of you on your technical journey, right? So that I can talk accordingly, right? I can have the session accordingly. Okay. So I need all of you to introduce me to each other in a very brief Teams message. It will be quick, right? We have an hour of session, so it's quick. If you can just brief about the years of experience you have, okay, and the core skills that you're currently working on. What's your core skill, and what's your aspiration of joining this workshop, right? So if you could briefly just talk about or let everybody know, right, about these three things, friends, quickly in the Teams group. Feel free to unmute yourself if you would like to unmute and talk. I'm absolutely fine with that. But it's better for the if you could use the Teams chat so that we can do this quickly. Let me see. Anybody would like to unmute? Please do that. Please do so.
Hi Roshan, this is Mukesh here.
Yes. Yes,
I
Mukesh.
have more than 16 plus years of experience in the IT field. Basically, throughout this my career, basically I have worked for approximately 7 years in the telco field, and then currently from the after that approximately from nine and a half and the plus years I'm working in the the infra side in the monitoring, implementation, solution architecting and all, right? So
Right.
mostly I do architecting and implementation projects in the ITOM, APM, okay. Mostly in these two area, as well as as a consultant level at both ITM, ITSM, ITOM, and the APM also. So I
Right.
do solution designing for the multi-vendor products as well as the implementation also. Yeah.
Okay, so you are
Uh,
into open source, Mukesh, or you're into
Not open source,
commercial?
a COTS product mostly. Just for example, right now I'm working for the BMC Helix projects. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, Before that, I have worked for the Man Engine, Micro Focus Tools, and before that in the telco area, there are some niche products like InfoVista and all, right. So
Okay.
in the telco, basically, I was in the OSS area mostly. Yeah. So currently, I do multiple kind of job I'm playing, including governance and everything, right? So
Okay.
slowly, I have started, in the DevOps area also, where I'm right now. I am basically working on the building, Beyond platform, which is based on the your Kubernetes or the Docker area. So my expectation from this course was, basically to, get into, more details of SRE, how it is related to the, more or less it is overlap of the DevOps area only, right? So since I'm slowly building my skill set, around DevOps also, so just wanted to have something which can expedite my journey, right?
Perfect.
So
Perfect, Mukesh.
that is the basic
And
idea,
got it. And
behind this.
definitely you are in the right place of we're gonna go understand that it's not just the DevOps, but we need additional skills as well. Skills of troubleshooting, skills of automation. We'll touch base on those things. We'll understand that in some time. Perfect. Thank you, Mukesh, for this introduction. Okay. Anybody else would like to introduce yourself, friends. Please use the chat option, friends. Feel free. Quick. Okay, Hitesh, 4.5 years, performance engineer, performance testing tool, observability tools, Grafana, app dynamic directories, aspirations, sorry. Okay, sure, perfect. Thank you, Hitesh. Okay, we're gonna give another 1 minute or 2 minutes max. Please help you understand, friends, so that we can have the fruitful discussion. You should have some takeaways from this session. I'm going to make sure that I understand performance engineer why look forward to SRE engineers. We will understand that it's not as I mentioned just now. It's not just the DevOps skill which inclined towards SRE, but the performance engineering or the administrator, or if you're into automation, it's an amalgamation of multiple skills, right? Gihan, today if we are not starting any batch, Gihan, we are having a workshop on SRE, right? We will have the session upcoming week, right? Not today. We're gonna just understand more about the skill here today. That's the scope. Okay, 1 more minute, friends. Anybody would like to introduce yourself in the chat? Feel free to unmute yourself. Okay, Kavita, 16 years experience, automation test lead, fintech company, trying to learn a SRE role. Helpful for some tech role. Perfect. Okay, sure, Kavita. Okay, friends, let me get to that now. Okay, thank you for all the introduction. Now, when we use this word SRE, right? What is your like first understanding? Like just couple of understanding. What do you think? And you must be seeing a lot of roles, right? You must be seeing if you go to the Naukri or if you go to the LinkedIn jobs, you will see a lot of roles, job descriptions, jobs with SRE, right? This technical word, right? What exactly is this role, and what exactly does this role does? So roles and responsibilities is what we're going to discuss. See, in IT, there are a couple of skills, right? Like either you could be a developer, right? Now, developer, you could be a front-end developer, back-end developer. There are two engineers. Yes, absolutely. You heard me correct. There are full stack as well, but if you go to enterprise company, big, full lot of scale company, you will find two developers, front end and back end. Back end where the APIs are being developed. Mostly they use Java Spring Boot, right? Currently in the enterprise world, still yes, Java Spring Boot is the still most popular programming language technology that people use for the backend technology. And then there are skills like QA. You could be a functional tester. Now you could be doing your functional testing in a manual manner or in an automation manner. There are performance testing field which takes care of the scale, right? Uh, right now, if I talk about scale, let's say Facebook or Amazon.com, we have so many users accessing those websites, but we don't see the lag, right? We don't see the slowness. How are they maintaining it? We have a lot of streaming applications like Netflix. So many people around the globe are using this streaming. When any T20 match, World Cup comes, we have the match being telecast, and people across the globe they stream those things, right? And how it's able to stream smoothly for all. Performance does matter, right? So we have the functional team, QA, performance, security testing team, which takes care of the vulnerability. Applications will not be should be secure, right? That's one of the very important thing. We use so many applications, and we store our personal information. We store our credit card details, right? We provide so much information, and if the application is not secure, the data can be compromised. So it's one of the very important things from the security perspective. Then we have a DevOps role, which is mostly into the deployment of the code. when the code is developed by the developer. We need some guy who can deploy my code into various environments. Now, there are multiple environments, I believe you all know. We have development environment in any company. When a software is being developed, you have development environment, then you can have a staging QA environment, you could have a pre-prod performance environment or production environment eventually when what you see, right? If you go to Make My Trip, LinkedIn, Swiggy, Zomato, Ola, Uber, whatever you access is basically the production website, the application that we access, right? And it has the code has been verified in the lower environment. It was developed by the developer. Verified validation was done by the QA engineers. It was deployed by the DevOps engineer, and finally the goes to the prod. Now, have you ever thought when the code is in prod, don't you think running the code successfully in prod is one of the most important activity for an organization? Running the code successfully in prod, that has been the main objective, right? When the software development started, when the idea of developing a software started, running the code successfully in production is the most important activity. I believe nobody would disagree on this, right? And when it is such an important activity, because your company revenue depends on that, if Make My Trip is not running smoothly, people would not be able to book the flights, the travel tickets. If Amazon.com, Flipkart is not, Mintra is not healthy in production, again, it will have a revenue loss. So many such things. Like you can just see Swiggy, Zomato, Ola, Uber, IRCTC. Just look around. Your running the code in production is one of the most important role. And if something goes wrong, friends, in production, who do you think is responsible in these roles that we have mentioned? Who do you think? Is it developer responsible alone? Is it QA team who has confirmed that the code was running good? Is it performance team who has run the load test and confirmed that the application was running smooth under the load conditions? Now, issues could be of any type. It could be a functional issue. It could be a security issue. It could be slowness, performance issue. The issue could be of any types. Who do you think is responsible? Who should drive? Who should make sure that the code in production, the application in production running healthy? What do you think, as per your experience, friends? Don't say that's not an important question. Who should take care? Who should own the responsibility here? If this is such a critical task, then who should own the responsibility? What do you think?
Ideally, it will be I mean, on call, there will be a scrum master and the developer, and I think a release engineer also will be there to accompany when they push the code to production. And if it's successful, then it's fine. Otherwise, like if that has to be reverted, then it will go back to the previous
Okay, see,
code.
I'm not talking about right now when the deployment is happening. Code was deployed, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
2 hours back, 3 hours back, code was deployed. Or a week's back, code was deployed. Issue started to come right now. Now the issue is coming. Then what
You can
would
say
you
it's
think?
primarily a responsibility of the operation support team who should run this operation smoothly, right? At the same
Right?
time, everybody's definitely, is a party of it. And whosoever, will be identified as a, SME of the, let's say some incident is happening. So they should be engaged. So net, it should be overall a part of the
Then
operations
who
only.
should drive this? Who should tell that you are responsible? It's in your, let's say there are so many developers, right? I
Mhm.
The
cannot
developers
bring,
will be monitoring once it goes to production. Hypercare will be there, so there will be
right?
for a
Hypercare
couple
is very for the very short duration, right? What will you do after a week's time?
There will be an
one
operation team, like there will be a team where they will monitor it continuously, how it goes or what is happening in the production.
what do we call that team?
I mean, for us, I don't remember, like we call it as AMS team in our organization.
Mhm.
There is a particular team who monitors this.
Okay, let's say monitoring is being done. Okay, so we all know, so we all understand that there is a requirement of production support. Do we all agree on this part? Right? We have to have people in production, monitoring production. And how do we monitor? Let's say, let's understand this question. How do we monitor actually? Do you think somebody to look at all the panels all the time, 24/7? The metrics monitoring dashboard, all the things, or how do you think it is being done? It is the monitoring part. Let's focus on the monitoring. We'll come to later troubleshooting and narrowing the issue. But how do you think it needs to be monitored?
I think there is an on-call alert
There will
and
be
there
an
is a
alert
page.
Triggered.
Right. Alerts, right? Absolutely.
You
Yes.
will
Yeah.
have relevant product, to do the monitoring of the, performance and other things, right? So like ITOM, APM, depending on the product nature. Okay.
Yeah. So what
You
is
will.
the source? Let's say if the issue is happening, how one would get to know that there is an issue happening? What is the
Yeah,
first?
through alerts,
Yeah,
through
that will be
alerts, we
definitely the
will get
monitoring
to
support
know.
of the L1 monitoring support team or NOC
Yeah,
team,
but
whatever you
but
call it.
again, okay, that's monitoring is a bigger term. For
Hmm.
monitoring, there are 8 people. What do you expect them to monitor?
Splunk logs and
All
Performance
the
of the
time.
performance
overall system,
centers.
Okay, all the
performance.
time, do you want them to go over Splunk logs, keep on going the Splunk logs?
No, there will be an alert set
Mm,
up based
Right?
on the
So
severity.
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
Yeah.
the one
Alerts,
of the
dashboards, and all
very
yeah, they will do.
important. So this is what I was trying to focus. Alerts. Setting up alerts. Now, if I just take your thought process into this alert, it is such an important activity, such a critical activity. Think about it. I have hundreds of dashboards. I have, let's say, web server, I have load balancer, web server, app server, database server. I could be containerized application. I could have multiple databases. I can have so many applications running in my system. How should I put configure alerts? Okay, let's talk about very simple terms. CPU. Should I have alert at 50%? Should I have alert at 60%? Should we have alert at 70%, 80%, 90%? What do you think would be the right metric here? Or we need to have alerts at all the levels? Now, you should also know, if you configure informational alerts without action item, what will happen eventually? The important alerts can be ignored, can be overlooked. Because you have so many alerts. I just talked about CPU. Now, the CPU could be of the web server, app server, database server, or could be other things. And there are so many servers, VMs, containers, which CPU we're talking about. Now, same thing on the memory. Same thing could be on the uptime. So these are very critical metrics. Uptime could be on the response time.
If they will set up some timeline or they will set up in case if the CPU or memory it is bypassing or it is going beyond, maybe there could be an alert saying that yes,
That's
the
what
CPU is.
you're asking. You are telling the correct thing. But what is the threshold? How do you know what is the threshold? So setting up alerts is correct, but setting the alert with the right threshold is even more important activity. I want you to think on that. Yes or no? I can have alert. Somebody can have alert at 10% also, but that will be informational alerts. So you would not be able to do anything. Or they, okay, you'll say, okay, 10% only. That's fine. Just ignore it. Alerts one of the fundamental thing about alerts that it should follow with some action item. You should be doing it. If you get an alert, you should do something. You should look at other parameters to confirm the behavior. Or alerts should be only coming when there is some suspicion, there is some anomaly in the pattern or in the application behavior. Then only alerts should be triggered. If
Maybe
not,
the CPU memory, it is going beyond the threshold. And if we are checking the response time, if for example, if the request we hit, if it is expected to get within 1 second or 2 second, and if it is going beyond that, then there could be an alert set
now
for that
again, when you
also.
say 1 second, 2 second, is it not going to be a generic statement for all the applications? If you're working on Facebook, if you're working on Flipkart, Amazon.com, do you think you wait for response time for 1 to 2 seconds? We want immediate output. Look at our expectations when we go to Flipkart or any retail websites. Do you think we wait for 2 seconds?
Not really.
Immediate. It's in milliseconds. Retail websites. So
Milliseconds. Yes, yes, yes.
don't generalize it, right? So see, my point is this. Setting up alerts is important. Setting up alert with the right threshold is even more important. So what do you decide on the right threshold? It depends on various factors. You cannot generalize it. It depends on the expectations. Because what is the end goal of a company? Let's say, I'll come to that, I'll complete this list. But what is the end goal of a company? Let's say Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra, all our retail websites. Now, there could be another set of applications like Swiggy, Zomato, food ordering app, flight booking applications like Make My Trip, Clear Trip. Now, it all eventually, what is the ultimate goal? User experience. What my user is expecting, or what my competitor is doing. We cannot generalize a threshold on the response time. Particularly, I was focusing on, right? But on the CPU memory, there could be a generic understanding. But on the response time, I cannot say 1 second or 2 seconds. Okay, it really depends on various factors. Okay, then my question to you: who do you think setting up the right alerts with the right threshold? Who is the person in the organization? Who do you think knows this technical detail, which understands the business, understands the problem? Because I cannot alert at 90%. It'll be too late before we get time to fix the issue. It's a very simple activity I'm doing, setting up alerts. Who do you think should be doing this in the organization? Don't expect the production support guys to do this.
We have to
Yeah.
get the details from the business, and then developers will do the setting, the QA
Okay.
test it.
So developers, are you expecting developers to do this? What QA will do? What developer will say, how come it's my role? I'm developing my application. I'm understanding the business. I'm understanding the requirement, and I'm writing efficient code. That's my job. 1 second, friend. Yes, friends. So it's one of the very important activity, right? So developers would not agree to do this, right? Why they would do this? Why developers alone? Why not QA team? And we cannot ask somebody, right? No, I'm just talking about the responsibilities eventually that would be falling to SREs. Okay. So what is the eventual goal? Eventual goal is that my user experience, I should have an application where the user experience plays a very important role. And everybody in the organization is working toward the user. Now, when we say user experience, we covered a lot of things. We covered the application availability. Applications should be highly available, should be performing, should be secure. Setting up alert, friends, falls under the purview of SRE engineers. Who are SRE engineers? What is their role and responsibility? Now, you mentioned about production support. Production support basically belongs to SRE. Okay. So anybody, okay, what is the role and responsibility? So when the code is in prod, who is responsible for deployment of the code? DevOps engineer. DevOps engineers are responsible in the deployment of the code. Now, nowadays, the roles and responsibility are changing because of the AI and other skills we have, right? But primarily, it's still with the DevOps engineer. Developers are focused in developing the code, writing the code, implementing the business, right? Efficient code. They have a good responsibility, writing the efficient code. And QA engineers will make sure the application is functionally correct, working fine. Performance engineer will do performance wise, it's doing correct. Security engineer will they have their own responsibility. DevOps engineer deploy the code to production. Now, when the code is in production, it falls under the SRE engineers. Whenever you look at the job description of SRE engineers, they're expected to work in production. So what do you think they do? As I told you, they should have the understanding of the deployment. So they should know how a deployment works. So yes, it is in this way. They should know how the deployment process is. Are we deploying in a VM? Are we deploying in containers? What are the databases involved? So the application architecture. The problem that I see, right, that most of us, I'm not talking about all of you. Let me ask you this question. Do we all know the application that we work on is deployed in the VM or the containers? Do we all know here? Yes or no? I just want yes or no. If you know it, that's fine. If you do not know, just mention no. Do we all know the application that you're working on is running in the VM or is it in the containers? Quick, and friends, yes or no will help me get going. You'll have a learning session. You'll have a takeaways from this session. Okay, just quickly, let's not waste time. Quickly, friends, yes or no in the chat. Yeah, it's fine if you do not know, friends. I know that. So, right, look at the nose, right? My focus is not on you. We do not know what we should know. That's the problem. If you are a performance engineer, friends, or anybody in the organization, don't say functional engineer was only supposed to know the functionality of the application. That's all. No, we should know where it's running, how the infrastructure is. It's a container-based application or it's a VM or directly physical server that we are deploying in. Okay, so the point is, friends, so the SRE engineers should know the deployment process, the application architecture, and you can only know the deployment process. One can only know the deployment process when they understand the application architecture. Okay, when I say application architecture, I'm talking about the user, the request journey. When you hit Facebook or any application, right? Let's say Make My Trip, or similarly your application, how the request travels, how did I get the output, what all things happen in the backend. It's very important thing, right? Start thinking on those lines. If you have not started thinking, ask this question. These are very relevant basic questions. Make My Trip is a domain name. You can also go to a lot of websites, Namecheap, GoDaddy, or any Hostinger, right? You can buy a domain, abc.com, your name.com. But you need to map it to the load balancer. Then you need to have the web server, which hosts the web pages, which renders the web pages. So the what you see is coming from a web server. They are HTML file. just a display, HTML file. Somebody has written a web pages and it's running, the web page are running in the web server and you're rendering the pages. So behind the scene, you have the load balancer and then you have the web server. Now, when you do something here, Pune or it's any destination, let's say Delhi, any destination, when you do on any date, when you click on search, what happens? How did we get this output? We should think about the application that we work, and then only we can do a thorough job. And then only one of the important skill of an SRE engineer, along with the production monitoring, there are levels. Okay, we have L1, L2, L3. You might have heard of L1 support. So those are nothing but the production engineers, production support engineers who work in shift 24/7, right? You may call them or they can provide the on-call support. Now, depending again on the business. If you're working in some mobile network, so they would have different customer support team, right? Who would resolve your query. But from the technology perspective, you have L1 engineers who would look into the alerts and they will try to understand, is my application running smooth or not? That's one of the very critical tasks, right? If Flipkart, Amazon.com is making business, making money from the production, you don't say it's not important skill. It's very important thing to make sure that the production is highly available, performing, no issues, users are having the best experience. It's very important skill. And how do we ensure that? Through efficient alerting. So setting up alerts is very important activity of the SRE, falls under SRE umbrella, right? And production support is one of them. They need to be available 24/7. They work in shift. And then there are L2 engineers, some technical guys. Production support L1, L2 engineers. They are technical guys who understands the deployment process, who understand the infrastructure, who understand whether the application deployed in the VM containers, the sizing, the size of the VM, size of the container, and they understand about the graphs, the panels, the monitoring thing. What was the load, the response time? Now, I was listing some metrics, right? Status code. When the application is live in prod, what is the status code? The errors, throughput being achieved. Now, if it's a Java application, I can monitor some other metrics like garbage GC, garbage collection. I can check the threads running into the system. If it's a database, MySQL database, I would like to know the latency, read latency, write latency, the number of connection, DB connections. So depending on my architecture, I need some important metrics to monitor. And I need monitoring graph, right? Monitoring dashboards, right? Dashboard for all the layers, web server, app server, database server, at all the layers, we need the right efficient alerting. So L2 engineers, friends, they understand the deployment process. They understand the application architecture. Don't think only the architects know the application architecture. No. If you are into troubleshooting, if you want to figure out at least the narrow, let's say, friends, think about it. Response time is high in prod. What would you do? Let's take this example. Response time used to be 200 to 500 millisecond in prod. Now it has spiked to 2 seconds. Is it concerning? Obviously, yes. You got the alert? Concerning, yes. Users are impacted? Yes. Now there could be various reasons. Various reasons. Now, let somebody please walk me through what would you do in such a case. If you are in production, you are a responsible member in a company and who wants to make the system up and running, what would you do? What would you troubleshoot or narrow down the issue? Forget about fixing it. Narrowing down the issue. Where is the issue? Who should you call? You cannot call all the 1,000 people in the organization, right? What would you do, friends? Anybody?
We can check the logs in any monitoring tool like AppD or Splunk.
Okay, let's go
And we
one by
can,
one. Let's go one by one. Let's log.
okay,
What
we
would we
can
check
check
in the logs?
in the logs, we can see which downstream system is taking a longer time.
How would you see that in the logs? The logs depends on the application log, depends on what developers are writing that, right? They are taking a lot of time in processing, right? How is it not necessary that you would get to know about the time from the logs?
We can get it actually. We can get it from the Splunk log
Okay.
by
Okay.
writing the correct query, or even
Okay.
through AppD also we can check the number of flows it comes, right? Over there also we can check through uh, through the dashboard if we are creating, or else we can check how many number of calls is hitting over there. So through that we can see what is the response and where is the which system is taking a longer
Okay.
time, or it
Let's
could
say
be a
web
network.
server, let's say app server taking longer time. What would you do?
Then I mean we will be connecting with developers, so that's what we do. See, any high response or any prod issues, definitely we will connect with the developers, and they have all the um,
Then we are
they have
relying
all
on
the
them. Basically, you are saying we are
yeah.
relying on them. I'm talking about which developer will you call? The application server is the problem. There are 20 developers working in the application server.
We don't have a breakdown of different developers. Like we have only specific developer who work on the application, right? So we connect with our developers to check that. I'm not sure like if we have any specific developers, because any prod issues we'll definitely connect with our lead developers to check where is the problem. We will give the logs and we will tell that this is the problem and this is where it's the concerning is. So they will in depth they will check
Basically, you are
in
asking
detail.
developers to fix the issue. Identify,
To check
fix the issue.
the issue, yeah, we will give more details for sure, but fixing of course they will be doing, but in case if they wanted to know more about it, they will be checking in their systems which we don't have
Basically,
access for it.
developers. Basically, you are saying developers are responsible. Okay. But narrowing down the issue, right? Think about Amazon.com. We have so many functionality, so many people, so many developers are involved in writing the code. No, don't look at the web server, look at the processing. Lot of things happens behind the scene. When we search for the product, the timing gets updated. Order by, get by, right? If you order within this much time, you get by this time. A lot of calculation happens. There are a lot of developers, there are inventory. There are so many developers. You cannot call all of them. So we need to narrow down the issue. Yes, so logs is one of the ways. Definitely, yes. Logs is one of the ways. So my point is that when you in production, right? The one of the roles of the SRE engineer is to narrow down the issue. And we can only narrow down. I'm not talking about fixing the issue. Let the developer fix the issue. What would you do? Things are bad in production. People are getting impacted. What would you do to remediate the issue first? You might have heard of disaster recovery, DR setup. So setting up DR, see, what is the eventual goal? Think from a company perspective. You need your application back up and running in the healthy state. You cannot ask developer to fix the issue and take 24 hours or 8 hours or 5 hours. You will lose business. Think about Flipkart, Myntra, Swiggy. We cannot wait for so long. loss of reputation, revenue. You would not, people would stop going to the application if this happens, right? So we need to immediately, so first of all, understand the impact. Where is the problem? So we need a dedicated guy here. This is where the SRE comes into picture. And SRE is the guy who understands the development process also, the deployment process, application architecture, infrastructure, alerting. If the alert comes to check it all, because they understand the application flow, they can narrow down the issue. See, it's always very simple. When you want to narrow down an issue, and if let's say, okay, first of all, let's understand this. If somebody doesn't know the request flow, the request path going from where to where to where, right? The web server, app server, database server. Let's say somebody doesn't know the flow. Can the person troubleshoot the issue? Can the person narrow down the issue? Is it possible? What do you think? Rational thinking. Is it possible? Just by seeing the logs,
No,
would
it's
not
not
know,
possible. No.
right? Now there could be a problem. There could be enough, so many type of problem, right? What will you do? The request have increased. All of a sudden, request have increased. Same thing happened with Flipkart. When they first had their big million days, they did not anticipate the load. Not sure how many of you remember that incident.
Yes,
Happened
yes, we
some
do.
a decade back, right?
Yeah.
So they were not. So it was not the problem with the application code or anything. It the problem with the request. Hits have increased and your infrastructure is not scaled up. So what developer would do in this case?
See, when we
Developer can
test with some request, if the business is giving some uh, for 1 hour, like this is going to be the hits per second means, then we have to, we will be increasing the load and only we will be testing. I understand, like in prod, there could be some instance where the hits will be more, right? Like how this Flipkart has happened. Even in our organization, similar thing has happened. All of a sudden, there was some sale happen, and for that particular application, lot of people started using it. So then they got to know that there was some issue by the code. We couldn't figure out where was the problem. While testing, everything went fine. But later there was some loop or some extra code was written, but we couldn't figure out for at least for a day actually. And we were thinking it could be a DB issue or a network issue. We couldn't find where the bottleneck was. But finally, when we connected with the developers and they have gone through, then they have eliminated few of the, like some codes from that. And after optimizing the code, things went fine later.
had there been a SRE engineer, we could have resolved this, at least that narrow down the issue quite early. Because they have a good understanding on the deployment process, application architecture, infrastructure, and basically we do testing. For the load if increased, we have auto scaling mechanism. We should test auto scaling. When in, let's say, Hotstar, World Cup match is being telecast and people are streaming, or IPL match, they don't upscale the infra, right? Only for few hours they upscale, but even they put auto scale because they never know how many people would stream. Could be crores, and mostly it has been, right? When Virat Kohli is playing or MS Dhoni is playing, as people, the spike, they see spike. How do they handle such a load? So many connections get established. So a lot of factors plays in. So prod is a different. We need to plan differently for prod. If an issue is happening, first thing is to remediate the issue. Back the app, make the application up and running again in the back state. Now that's why we have two setup, blue green, understanding of blue green deployment, having two infrastructure, blue green deployment. If you have problem, with one of the infrastructure. Let's route the traffic to another cluster. We need to think about disaster recovery. If disaster happens, all of a sudden, entire system, you're not able to access, something happened, disaster happened. How do you recover from such disaster? Because I cannot let the business suffer. Companies like NASDAQ, US Exchange, or NSE, BSC, do you think they can afford to have a downtime? No, right? They will lose enormous business. People are trading, money is at stake. They will say, oh, 1 hour, we don't have the record who purchased, who sold. Would anybody buy that statement? Can take that up. Okay, fine, no problem. It is just not acceptable. These things does matter for production. And that is where SRE comes into picture, to make sure the users are having the best experience in production. And there are a lot of things that needs to be done. Setting up alerts is one of the important. Efficient alerts with right threshold. It's not that simple. It looks simple. Okay, set up the alerts. When you start looking into that, it becomes it is a skill to do that. You don't want information alerts, right? 50%. What will happen? 50% everything is fine. Why do you want to have such an alert? So basically the idea has been, you look at the trend, how the trend has been from last 2 months. Okay, you got to know 60, 65, under 67, 65, when you have this, you don't have problem. So then have the alert at 70%. With some action item, look at some other metrics. When you get this alert, look at the response time, is it spiking? Look at the status code. Look at the errors in the logs, errors, exceptions in the logs. Are you getting such things? Is my users orders failing? Whatever, depending on the business. Is my request failing? Like 4xx, 5xx, are we getting that? And what caused this? Do you see spike in the request? Or what is the problem? Or auto scaling did not trigger? Now, when you say auto scaling, and if you do not know infrastructure, how would you know, right? How can you troubleshoot that? Is it a VM or is it a container? And which part? Is web server, app server, database? Where is the contention? Where is the problem? Or let's say something disaster has happened, you need to revert it. Okay, then you should have the option of how do you recover it. You should have the automated way of recovery with minimal downtime. Minimal. Okay, now disaster has happened. No, you cannot skip it. See, failures will happen. Even Amazon.com, popular cloud provider, had a downtime, right? During Diwali, last Diwali. You might have heard the news. Amazon.com, Amazon, they don't have any problem with revenue, but they suffer downtime. So failures will happen to anybody. Google was downtime. So we need to be ready, right? And that is what. So everything, anything and everything that you do in production for ensuring that my customer has the best experience on the high availability, applications will be highly available, performing, security at all the layers. That is what SR is all about, right? Now, I talked about L1 people who work in SIFT. They can look at the alerts. Alerts will should have some extra items, SOPs, we call it, standard operating procedures, SOPs. They should have some action item. They are not that technical, guys. They are junior people, 2 to 4, 5 years experience working in the team. They may not know all the things. So they have all the alerts with the action item has to be documented. What other details that we need to capture, metrics that we need to capture. And if things are beyond their control, as per the SOPs, they will call L2 engineers, that senior people who have the understanding of a lot of things. They're doing the real things and they try to drill down the issue, narrow down the issue. And they call, then we have the L3 support, where we call the SMEs, L3 engineers, SMEs basically. Subject matter expert. When we have narrowed down the issue, now it's time to fix the issue. So they are the ones to remediate the issue, at least make the application up and running, and that they should have the process. Do they want to roll back the code? Now, did the process happen? Did this the problem happen during the deployment? Okay, they roll back the code. They should be able to roll back the code. Now, if this kind of steps looks very much similar to DevOps engineer, yes, there are a lot of overlap between the DevOps engineer and the SRE engineer, but DevOps engineer primary role is to deploy the code. And they should have the how to roll back. SRE engineer is mostly do deal with the production when things are live in prod. That is what the SRE engineer does. It's a very demanding role. See, when you have a problem, you cannot ask for a break, right? Think simple. Everybody in the organization should be available to fix the issue. That should be the mindset. Mindset for the SRE engineer does play a very important role. We cannot think like non-production environment. Okay, QA. Okay, we are getting some issue. We'll see tomorrow. If you cannot work in that mindset, you have to fix the issue right now. Remediate the issue right now. Have the action item documented. Who should have what action item, following up, having the call, bringing the right people in the call. Right. So L2 engineers play a very important role. And then when things are when beyond L2 engineers, the unit expertise, some application problem, business, they have such an enormous load. I don't know why they have put the load. So we'll call business SMEs. What is this load? They will try to understand the business perspective, whether expected or not. It looks very simple application architecture, but it has a lot of things. You should understand the components. If it's asynchronous application, we should understand what is Kafka, how to make calls asynchronous, how to make calls synchronous. Right? Kafka plays a very important role here. A simple queue service, Kafka, anything which makes the call asynchronous, which helps in upscaling, scaling to millions of users. All the retail website that you see, all are asynchronous call. They make asynchronous call. Synchronous call is very expensive, costly. Cascading effect it has. So if you want to fix those problems, the making call asynchronous plays a very important role. Now coming to the database, so we should have the, again, when talk about disaster recovery, how to recover? We should have the right backups. So now from the skill wise, friends, okay. I hope we are on the same page. Any questions on this so far? So good. Friends? Good. Any questions? I hope we are able to understand, right? Anything which you need, any inputs on, please let me know. Okay.
See,
Yeah.
disaster recovery, we have, I mean, ideally we had I'm saying from my organization point of view, I'm saying, so we had a team where they get involved and they ask us to just check by running all the script. And they make one of the server down to make sure that it's routing to another server. Okay, so few failures will come, and within how many milliseconds it's bypassing and routing to another server. And if that is healthy and up and running, we will be checking and monitoring for a couple of minutes. Okay, maybe 20-30 minutes. So this is how we check for for disaster recovery. But how this SRE is related here, because
see,
I'm not
you are
able to
doing
hear.
testing. Okay, see where you are involved, Saranya. What I have understood, you are testing, right? Could be testing from. What is your role? May I know? what exactly you do in your company?
I mean, I'm a project manager currently. I was working as a QA. I mean,
QA,
I
right?
was.
Correct. Yeah,
Yes. Huh.
I thought so. So basically, you are testing the application functionality. When the disaster happens, when they are diverting the call, they are diverting the traffic from one cluster to other cluster, right? So basically, they are taking, are they getting failures? Because users will be keep on hitting the website, right? User would not know. Make my trip user would not know whether disasters happen or not. I need to make my trip would mind their application working or not. So load would be keep on coming. But when the disaster happens, when you're routing the traffic, obviously there could be failures because the server is not up and run or the traffic is being routed. So basically, you are testing it. How long you got the error? How could we minimize it? Did the functionality break? So you are checking on those things. So the person who has written the script responsible in maintaining those scripts are the role of the SRE engineers. They are doing the disaster uh, recovery. You are testing it. Testing it,
So
if this
basically,
happens in production.
whatever we did, it's a mimic of production, like a product, non-prod, not a production environment, like pre-prod. But whatever SRE people, I mean SRE, they will be checking in the actual the user experience environment, right? The production environment
See,
for all
basically
this.
you test, you understand, you have, obviously we will not test this in production, right? You have tested, try to replicate the disaster in the low environment. And the person who has written the script, who routed the traffic to another cluster, that's the role of the SRE engineer I'm talking about. The person who did that. Who was the person who did that?
So for us, we had a disaster recovery engineer
Huh,
in our
correct.
organization.
So
Yeah.
that is the scope of that falls under SRE engineer.
Oh, okay, got it.
That is what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
Right? So
So
the
I thought
person
it's
was,
two different role. So I got it now. Okay.
see, again, if you want to hire somebody as just a DR engineer, that you can find, but nobody does that, right? People are, they look for the overall production health. They hire some senior guy, right? Now, SRE is a team. SRE pool of engineers. As I told you, they are responsible for a bigger role. Bigger role. Now, under the SRE, there could be one engineer working on DR only. That could be one of the case. But it's a bigger think from a company perspective. Flipkart or Amazon.com. If you are the owner of the company, how many people would you keep for SRE engineer? You will have a team, right? You have L1 people in the shift. You are L2 engineers, L3. Uh, look, let's not worry about L3. There's SMEs, could be a developer, could be from business. But from L1, L2, you will have people. Correct? Not one person, right?
Yeah.
So disaster recovery engineer could be one of the person in the SRE team. As I told you, think about you're working in NASDAQ. Application availability is the ultimate goal. You will have cloud engineers, you will have a bigger dev. So mostly sometimes they club with the DevOps engineer also. And they can also club with the performance engineer. So primarily, if you want to understand this role better, think about SRE engineers is the, if you mix, have the skill of DevOps engineer plus performance engineer plus automation engineer. Automation from the automation perspective, not the QA UI automation I'm talking about. Okay, plus automation. When you bring these three skills together, you get one SRE engineer, L2 engineer. I'm not talking about UI automation. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about QA automation. I'm talking about automation of different level, like infrastructure automation. I need to create one infrastructure in prod. I have thousands of servers to be created. Think like banking applications. I have thousands of servers to be created. Or I have to take a regular backup, database backup. or I have to do some other automation. I'm talking about those automations which are eventually required, or disaster recovery automation. I need to write one script to do this. So when I say automation, shell scripting, Python scripting, I'm talking about here. Terraform, Ansible, I'm talking about here. When I say performance engineer, I'm talking about performance engineering, not the JMeter load testing tool I'm talking about. Engineering. This would be able to narrow down the issue. And this talking about the deployment process. So a lot of things, because you need somebody very much capable person, senior most people to work in support production. There is a very immense important responsibility. So from the skill perspective, right? Now coming to the skill, what all skills one SRE engineer should have? Now tell me yes or no. Just would like to know from you. Do you think cloud would be important skill to have for the SRE engineer? Must skill to have? Yes or no? Okay, looks like people do not understand cloud then. Where do we create infrastructure? All the VMs, containers, all the storage, S3, EBS, databases. Where do we create all the infrastructure nowadays? In the cloud. Right? So cloud is one of the very important skill. Linux, you should understand Linux. 95 to 98% of the deployment happens on Linux operating system. If somebody is not good at Linux, it's simple, right? We cannot log into the Linux box. You cannot troubleshoot the application. You cannot understand the process. Understanding of Linux is very important. Now, nowadays, we are deploying things in containers. So the understanding of Docker, Kubernetes is very important skill. Understanding of microservice architecture. Because nowadays we have all the new applications are being developed in microservices, not monolithic applications. So application architecture, microservices. Understanding of monitoring tools. How do we set up monitoring? How do we do alerting? How do we create dashboards? That is understanding of at least the important metrics. What is the importance of read-write latency, DB connections, what all to look at? Various databases. Could be MySQL, could be NoSQL, like MongoDB, Cassandra. Should be a tech-savvy guy, right? Let's say you are working on MongoDB and you do not know where to monitor, what to monitor. It will not help, right? Or you're working on relational data, let's say MySQL. Should know what to look at, what to look at. How do you know the problem happens? How do you look at the slow queries? How do you check the problems, right? So we can check CPU, we can check the connections, read, write latency. These things we are important from the production perspective. Monitoring tools, alertings. Understanding of databases, right? Have fair understanding of databases. Automation, like the deployment. When I say deployment, CI/CD pipeline, Jenkins, right? Usually the DevOps engine they work on, CI/CD pipeline, Jenkins, because everything is automated nowadays. And understanding of Jenkins, how it works, how the deployment process works, how do we deploy application in containers, how do we deploy application in the VM, the deployment process in general. And the automation skill. Shell scripting, Python scripting, Terraform. Shell scripting comes under here only. Shell scripting, let's say. Python scripting I'll put here. Terraform, Ansible for infrastructure creation. I hope we all understand, right? Is it, friends? I hope if I talk about banking application, if I need 1,000 servers, do you expect people to do it manually? All the configuration of 1,000 servers manually? Is it possible? Just not possible. And production is very important. And then nowadays, friends, the understanding of Gen AI tools. How do we get smart? Because there are so many expectations. How can I get smart at using the Gen AI tools for these operations? If I don't know a database, can I search the right way? Can I get the information quickly? It's all about being smart and getting to understand the problem when you, and that only happens when you understand the basics. So whatever I'm talking about are the basics. Once you know the basics, what is Docker? What is Kubernetes? How do we create containers? The auto scaling, because you will configure auto scaling here. If your understanding of auto scaling is clear, now whether you're doing auto scaling of the VM or you're doing auto scaling of containers, if your understanding is clear, then only you can ask the Gen AI tools. They make use of Gen AI tools for the automation. If you have the fundamentals of Python scripting, then only you would be able to. Everything is there. Just having the right prompt, you get the answer. Just tweak something and you get the answer. We are in a time where multiple skills are required. Because we have the knowledge, it's an informational revolution, right? We are in the era of information is available. Just write the right prompt and you have the script. Like I'll give you a demo, friends. I don't know. I am working on RDS, relational database MySQL for the first time. I don't know how do we take a backup of database in Python. I don't know. Let's say I'm starting with 0. What should I type? Okay, Python script. Just giving all the demos for MySQL backup. This is the revolution we are in, friends. Now you should be able to understand this. Everything everything is readily available. If you do not know, if you say I do not know how to automate this, somebody would say I know, but because they are saying only difference is that one person has the confidence that how he can get the information and use it. Other person does not have the confidence. That's the only difference. It's not about the question of knowledge. Both the person doesn't know the correct answer. If you ask the format, nobody would be able to tell us. But one person is telling, okay, yes, I know how to get this done. I'll get this done. By the evening, it will be ready. And he understood this, got the script, made it work. He's taking the backup of the database. That is the revolution phase we are in right now. So when you have the basic knowledge, how to use Gen AI tools for the advantage? If the alerts come, can we automate in such a way that it will sense the issue, CPU high, response time high, it will sense the issue, trigger one script automatically, fix the issue. That's the next level automation. Auto remediation, we call it in SRE world, right? Friends, so this is the skill, right, of an SRE engineer. Very important skill. All these things are okay. It's just okay. Do you think okay? If you are thinking it's only required for SRE engineers, no. It's required by a DevOps engineer. It's required for a performance engineer. If you are a developer, understand the deployment process, you need to know this. Yeah, if you are a automation functional tester, you can manage without knowing it. because you mostly deal with the application. But if you are in technical roles, you need to have this. That's the skill, right, friends? Any questions? I hope we are on the same page. So far, so good. Friends, am I making sense to all of you? All I'm
Yes,
trying
sir.
to all I'm trying to expand the way you think. Okay, that's all. That's all I'm doing here. I'm not, we're not having a technical discussion as such, but I'm giving you an overview what is required, what you should know in general. Right. So, friends, if you're looking to fast track your knowledge journey, your journey on this, I have a course for you. Okay. You can attend the demo on this Tuesday, friends. This coming week, Tuesday. I have a course, SARI, Fundamental to Cloud Native Automation. Right. I have a course. I'm taking up this course from last many years now. Running this course for many years. We are having a demo on, right, 20th January. We have a demo Tuesday, coming Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. IST. Okay. IST hours. If you are a different time zone, please.
Do you have any preference for the evening classes by any chance, or any schedule for that?
Yeah, I have a weekend, but that's ongoing batch.
Mhm.
Just after this, I have a batch. So yeah, I'm starting that batch to little late today because of the
Because
my.
this will be too early for me. Okay.
Okay. So you
I
can
wanted to
try.
have this, but yeah, if
Yeah,
you have any weekend batch coming in, do let me know.
right.
Or in the
We
evening.
have. Yeah, weekends evening batch we have. Right now it's ongoing batch that we have. Uh, right, I
But for how
have.
many days that batch is done?
No. You should not join that. It's already
Mhm.
40%. Um, yeah. Okay, it will take some time. It will take another 2 months. It's a very vast course. Okay, it's a very vast course.
Yeah,
We
yeah, I
takes
understand.
approximately 3 months to cover this course. It's 40
Sure.
hours of live sessions. Okay, and we cover topics as I told you, all the topics here, as I listed you, all the tools, all the
So
things we
are you
discussed here.
also getting into the GenAI tools in this? Because in your syllabus it doesn't I
See,
think.
when you know the basics, you just need how do we use it. That's all.
So particularly
It's
which GenAI tools you are using in
see,
the
it's
SRE?
again, it's any tool. It doesn't matter, right? All give us good details. Whether it's Copilot or Chat GPT, mostly these two.
Mhm.
They give us good details. It's all about having the fundamentals strong, right? I'll give you a best example.
Mhm.
When we know alphabets, English alphabets, when you know how to make
I
words,
understand what you are
right?
saying, but yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Yes. If we have the fundamentals strong, it doesn't matter. As I showed you one of the examples, we should be able to have the right prompt, and that's it. We can verify from multiple GenAI tools and get to the
I understand.
solution.
From the troubleshooting perspective, maybe you are referring, or from the information gathering perspective. But what I was looking for, maybe you are using some agentic AI or some sort of thing in
No, we are
any.
not into agentic AI. No, agentic AI is a very different course.
I
We are
understand.
focusing on the basics here, fundamentals. If you talk about agentic AI, that will go to a different level. I cannot talk about so many things along with this AI which you're looking for, agents,
I
right?
understand. Yeah.
I cannot take up both. My entire focus is on the fundamentals
Mhm.
in this course. It's from anybody, okay? Anybody can attend this who is looking into, if you're a performance engineer looking forward to become a cloud performance engineer, if you're working on-premise looking into cloud, if you are stuck at a support role, you're looking for the L2. So basically we prepare, as per my description, we prepare for L2 SRE engineers. That is where we prepare for. I provide Java performance engineering session as well here. How do we troubleshoot Java applications? So as troubleshooting is very important skill. Along with this skill, As I told you, performance engineering, troubleshooting is very important. So we cover Java performance engineering here. Troubleshooting in this course. Okay, so we cover cloud part. You can go, I'll share the link to all of you. You please go over the link. Feel free to attend the demo. I'll talk more about the course perspective. Today I given an overview, but I'll go from the course perspective, what all we cover, how do we cover cloud, Linux, the SREs terminologies, famous SREs terminologies that we have, the microservice architecture, Docker, Kubernetes, uh, how performance engineering fits in DevOps, CI/CD pipeline, Jenkins, continuous
One question,
testing.
Roshan. Is it going to be assignment-based course or only the theoretical from the unit and
No
it's
theory,
one-sided?
practical, only practical.
Because
Theory,
see, why I'm saying this, don't take it otherwise, because I have attended other courses, from ESA training. Okay. So mostly what I have failed that, the delivery is mostly one-sided. Okay.
I
So
could not get
that's
you
where
one-sided. One-sided means
one-sided means mostly, the instructor comes in, he delivers the lecture for 1 hour, and exactly after 1 hour, session will be closed, and then, there are no proper hands-on, being
so
promoted or,
during the
imposed.
session, you are saying during the session, when
Hmm.
you say hands-on, I would like to understand. Are you expecting the trainer to do the hands-on, or you
No,
are
no, no, not
expecting?
trainer. At least participant will be encouraged to do
Okay,
that. I
then
know
it will go
within one
6
hours of
months. Okay,
session it will
I
be
got your
difficult, but at
question.
least
I
some
got your question.
assignment-based things should be imparted
Okay,
so that others can come
I
back
got your
and do
point.
it.
Let me take that question again. If you expect, right, all the participants should practice, this course will go for 6 months, because we do it for a couple of initial things, set up EC2, installing few servers. I wait for 20 minutes, get this done, right? If I keep on waiting for all the 10, 12, 15, 20 participants, uh, it's going to take 6 months.
I understand. So
So,
so all these are setting a machine and all those are the basic stuff. So what I was expecting, at least you should have, some project-based kind of, assignments, which, people can basically, even in the offline mode, can do that
see,
and
okay,
comes back if
I
there
think
is
I have
any.
not completed my thing. So the expectation on daily basis is you to practice what we have done. That's all. If you do that, if anybody, see, you are right now talking from a 16, 17 years experience. Think from a 4 year, 6 year, 8 experience, right? Who was trying to learn
I understand.
AWS,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So think from that perspective. Uh, if the person does the exact what's hands-on being done, because everything is hands-on. We'll have a cloud console, EC2, all the installations set up. I'll be showing commands. We are not going to wait for 20 minutes for all the participants to complete. Let's be honest, right? We can, if you do that, 6 months. We are able to manage this in 3 months, because what the first thing that we do in the next session is ask questions. Do we have any questions in what we have discussed so far? And the expectation has been that you have practiced what we have done in the last session. Or if you have practiced, still have questions, because it's all about the basics and the way we cover all the topics. Again, I'll talk more about the course. The way we cover is from the three perspective, from the high availability perspective, all the topics. How do we achieve high availability? How do we performing security, cost optimized solution, and reliability? So all the topics, the cloud topics, everything, right? These covers these topics from these angles. So that is the pattern. So we do the hands-on. I do the hands-on. I'll show you. We don't get time for. I cannot wait. And then the expectation is that you practice it, and the first thing next day we do is ask questions. 5 minutes, we are open. Any questions? If somebody wants to share the screen, perfectly fine. Do that. I'm all here. If you want to need my 10 minutes after the session, Roshan, I have stuck here. I was practicing. Perfectly fine. Let's do that. But we cannot wait on a daily basis for 20 minutes, right? That's what we don't do. That's the expectation, that whatever we have done today has to be practiced by you. And please ask the question in the next session, right? All the topics. Okay, so coming back. So we talked about the performance engineering here, the CI/CD pipeline, the Jenkins, continuous performance testing. I'll show you installation of Jenkins, creating pipeline, CI/CD pipeline, Jenkins file, uh, reliability. How do we achieve using managed services of AWS? Tools, Prometheus, Grafana, Elastic Stack, right? How do we set up, install? Mostly we focus on the open source. Commercial tools already provide a lot of support. We focus on the open source tools. If you do that, commercial tools is easy because it's all about the understanding of the metrics. How do we get that? Performance engineering on the automation side, right? So everything that we have listed here, right? So we covered these things in the course. I'll talk more from the course perspective on the 20th of January. Okay, I hope everybody has learned something. Do we have takeaways, friends? Can I get a thumbs up if you have learned something, if I made you 1 hour worth? Perfect. That's good to know that. Okay, that's all, friends. Thank you so much. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
Hi, Roshan. I had a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I see most of the people here have like some experience, but I'm a recent graduate. So I just want to like double check, would this course, like the SRE course, would be good, or should I go for like I see you also have a cloud performance engineering. So would that be
No,
a better
both are
choice?
same. Basically, both are same course. Okay, I
Okay.
take this way. Okay, the I can teach this course to a 12th standard. The
Okay.
way we take it up, right? The basics, the way I take it up, right, is you don't require a prerequisite. If you are a tech savvy, if you can just be comfortable, what you'll be doing, I'll be asking to create a cloud account and I'll guide you also, create a server, log in, right? And we do everything from like no, as you don't need a prerequisite big to go over this course because all we are
Okay.
doing here is focusing on the fundamentals, right? That is what you need. And when you know the
Yes.
fundamentals, you can build anything on top of it. So we focus on the fundamentals in this course. So if you are a graduate looking to learn these skills, perfect place to learn this. I would not have missed this chance if I would be in your place.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay, that's all, friends. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you on 20th of Jan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.